Today, everyone, I will be discussing the key challenges impacting the quality of teaching and learning. This topic describes the recent findings that have emerged from educational researches and proposes solutions to the sum of the challenges in trying to reverse the trends that have become apparent in recent years. The onset of the pandemic has aggravated the impact of these challenges and needs to be factored into the plans for reforming learning in the next decade. Key challenges impacting the quality of teaching and learning. First, poor performance in reading from early years into secondary school. According to Philippine International Student Assessment 2018, data analysis also showed that 96% of learners who spent less than a year in early childhood programs fell below level 2, defined as the basic proficiency level. Learners who delay entering elementary school are more likely to encounter learning difficulties and hence score lower on reading than those who entered at the correct age. The Early Language Literacy and Numeracy Assessment, or the ELLNA, program is designed for K to grade 3 learners with specific objectives that all learners in those grades will be equipped with fundamental literacy and numeracy skills, competencies needed for academic success in the later key stages. Second, Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education or MTBMLE. Starting school year 2012 to 2013, DepEd introduced a Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education or MTBMLE program that was implemented in all public schools in stage 1, kindergarten to grade 3 as part of the K-12 basic education program. A recent review of the following aspects of the policy: choice of language instruction, teachers training, learning materials, pedagogy, school leadership or governance, and stakeholder support, found that there are concerns over the provision of learning materials in the 19 different languages and disputes in communities over the MT choices with a school in areas where there were multi-ethnic overlaps. Third, English as a mandated test language. The National Achievement Test designated for grades 6, 10, and 12 are administered in English because although Filipino or another local language is often used in classrooms along with English, learners do not have an option to take the test in Filipino as it is not an official language of instruction after grade 4, as is English. There is an assumption that those taking the test have reached a sufficient level of understanding in English to attempt this test without encountering linguistic problems. Fourth, transition issues between learning stages. There is no formal transition process whereby grade 6 learners are evaluated as ready for grade 7. Study apart from school-based assessment tests that rely on the judgment of the school and individual teachers and entrance examinations administered to screen who will qualify for science or special classes. Decisions are taken at school level to promote learners to a higher grade level based on their school assessments, and it is likely that early detection and provision of support to struggling learners through interventions such as the provision of remedial programs and additional learning time for these learners rather than grade level repetition may be more cost-effective policies for schools. Fifth, high cognitive demand of the K-12 curriculum. The study found that the K-12 curriculum was more demanding in terms of the number of learning competencies than the other countries. In the comparison, Australia, Canada, and Singapore, the total number of competencies in all learning areas from kindergarten to grade 12, excluding the Tibet specializations in senior high school, was reduced to the most essential learning competencies or MELCs in 2020. The original 14,171 learning competencies were reduced to 5,689, a reduction of around 60%, which gave greater focus to learning activities and resource provision for effective learning, and allowed sufficient time for coverage and mastery in the short term. But it must be examined whether there may be a loss of other important learning competencies. And the last one, weak pedagogy skills of teachers for addressing 21st century skills. The requirement for teachers to earn 21st century skills of problem solving, information literacy, and critical thinking within all subjects of the curriculum has been instituted without sufficient professional development of teachers or provision of resources to assist with teaching these learning skills. The National Educators Academy of the Philippines, or NEAP, now includes a requirement for the provision of continuing professional development, or the CPD programs, to assist teachers to include these 21st century skills in the core subject of Filipino, mathematics, English, science, and araling panlipunan, as well as teachers' mastery of content standards for the subjects anchored in the Philippine professional standards of teachers and school leaders. That's all, and thank you for listening.